Lucky number episode 13. Of course, this would be the episode where Vinny's mic decides to crap out. So I just want to let everyone know this is a great conversation. We end up having a really, really good episode. It's a little bit more freeform. It's a little bit more different than our normal podcast episode. But listen, just bear with me. Vinny's mic, there's something wrong with it. Okay? So I believe we're going to address it and fix it for the next episode. But I know. So don't write in about it. There's something wrong with Vinny's mic. Having said that, you will like this episode, so stick around and please tune into this episode of the PSBlue Podcast because I promise you it is worth it. Anyway, enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PSBlue Podcast, available everywhere. This is episode 13. As always, I'm joined by Vinny, my cousin and co-host. How we doing today, Vinny?
Anthony, I'm doing really good. What about yourself?
You know, I'm doing good. I've been playing a lot of Yakuza Like a Dragon, like a lot.
And how's that going?
It's this game's amazing. I'm almost sad that I didn't buy it and waited for it to come to PlayStation because I want to support the devs. Not that they need my measly $25. This series is absolutely massive, but you know, I that's how much I love it. Like I wanted to purchase it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's got the right balance of like absurdity in the story combined with seriousness that is really appealing. It's just the perfect blend. The story is really what's catching me off guard. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I do. And like I said, it's absurd. It's all over the place, but it's done very well. Very well.
Well, let me ask you this, Anthony. Have you played any of the prior Yakuza games?
No.
No,
but
me either. I was just curious how maybe they compared. Because I know they weren't turn-based in the past, right?
No, not at all.
What I know.
Not at all.
Wow. Well, I'm happy that you brought this up, Anthony, because I'm eager to play this game. I still am. We talked a little bit about it last week. I'm glad it still seems like it's living up to the, your kind words that you gave it last week. It seems like you're over the moon about this one. I got to check it out. I really do, and I really can't wait to play that game.
Yeah, I don't think it's an understatement to say that at all. I am very, very much over the moon. And here's the thing. The other Yakuza games you're right, they're not turn-based. This was a first for them, and it caught a lot of people off guard. Not that it was negatively received, it was just different. Some people were very accepting of it when it first made that leap. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe there was some sort of a mod or DLC or something of that nature for the prior Yakuza game, and it was so well received that they pivoted and made the entire next installment in the mainline series turn-based. I believe something like that happened. Don't quote me on that, but I remember reading something about that. But anyway, it's awesome. I went back and I played a different Yakuza that was in my library just to, see how it compared, like you were saying, and I don't know. It didn't really resonate the way this game is, and it's free. It is the, headliner for the PlayStation Plus free game of the month for all tiers. So check it out. If you like RPGs, if you don't, I still think you would like this game because it's pretty awesome. I have to say. How about you, Vinny? What have you been playing?
Well, I've been kind of bouncing back and forth a lot lately. I'm in one of those. It's nice. We're going to talk a little bit about this later, that we kind of have this downtime here to go to kind of through our backlog. I've been playing, obviously, Psychonauts 2 as a part of the For Your Consideration. I'll kind of hold my thoughts on that game for now. I've been playing that. I've also been playing, funny enough, the other PS Plus game of the month. I've been playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remake, which is so good. It is so good. It's so much fun to play. It's amazing. Just a game. Oh my gosh, they did such a wonderful job, and now I'm even more sick to my stomach about Pro Skater 3 and 4 not happening. It's really upsetting because this game's just fun to play, and it's little objectives that you have to do on each map, and it's dude, it's just the gameplay is so good. And I personally haven't played a skateboarding game in what seems like ages, probably since Skate 2, for me personally. I
Yeah.
haven't touched a skateboarding game, and so I forgot. I kind of am, you know, kind of reintroducing myself to that genre, if you will, and I'm happy that I did because I forgot how good skateboarding games can be. And this is one that it's also beautiful. There's a PS5 upgrade for this game too. It runs amazing. I mean, we're talking 0 hiccups from a frame rate. It's such a well-made game. There's actually a lot of content too. There's actually a lot of maps. Shockingly, I was surprised. That was one thing that I noticed pretty early on was there's a ton of maps in this game. So really cool. It doesn't have that. I was a little worried that I was going to see a lot of microtransactions. I don't know about you, now that it's like a free to play, you know, PlayStation game. There's not a whole lot of those. It's not, at least that I can see. They're probably there, but they're not throwing it in my face. It's an amazing experience, man. Everybody needs to really at least go out and play it. It's the free game of the month. I cannot say enough good things about this game. That's been my primary game for the last week. So good.
I agree with everything you said. I love that game. But I have one gripe. And my one gripe with this game is the multiplayer. The people are too freaking phenomenally good at this game. Like, they're so good. I thought I was good at Tony Hawk. Like, I thought I'm sitting there. I told you I played the demo. The remastered warehouse level, which is iconic. I'm playing the level. I'm like, whoa, 1,000,000 points. I am so good. These people are putting up 20, 30, 40, 50 million points a combo. And I'm like, how do you do this? It's like Call of Duty bad. And what I mean by that is I stopped playing Call of Duty because people got so good at it that I just got overwhelmed and just, frankly, just felt very inferior when playing those multiplayer games, and I had to try it because I was like, man, I've been playing this game since the original came out. There's no way these new school skateboarding video gamers are gonna have anything on me. Boy, did I get my ass kicked! I got destroyed.
Yeah.
That game's so good though. It's so good.
To bounce off of that, Anthony, I wouldn't even I didn't even bother touching the multiplayer. I've seen videos on the game, and like you said, some of the, I mean, it's really insane. Like, half the time I'll watch like I've been watching videos to try to get a better understanding of how to actually like do combos and things like that. And you can't
Really?
even like tell what people are doing. Like, they're so like you really can't tell. They're moving so quickly, and it's actually pretty insane, the depth there. So I'm not touching multiplayer with a 10-foot pole, that's for sure. So I appreciate that feedback, because that just confirmed my fears of just getting my ass handed to me. So I'm not even gonna bother.
Did you know that Jack Black is a character in that game?
Oh, no way. Is he like a micro, like do I have to pay for him, or is he just an unlockable character? Oh, that is so funny. That is so good.
Yeah, but this is like his character is I think he's the cop or the security guard. I think his name was Officer Dick in the original game. And I don't know if they kept that name. I'm Googling it right now, so excuse the typing.
Oh, that is too funny though. I didn't even know he was in the original one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is Jack Black. Yeah, so in I'm pretty sure it's the second level in the game. You're in school. Oh, here's the other crazy thing. This was awesome. In the school, it's summer, right? When the game got released, they have like an announcement sort of monitor, like a morning announcements billboard, and it talks about quarantine and COVID. And I'm like, this is just such a cool little detail that they didn't have to put in the game that they did, and it's just really, really fun that they did that. But anyway, yeah, you have to get all challenges on all maps to get Jack Black. So
that's cool. I mean,
I buckled down and I like started to do it, and then I was like, this is nah. Some of the challenges are not hard, just tedious. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm glad you're enjoying it. The game's amazing.
So good.
Yeah. So today we kind of have a slow week. Vinny and I really we searched high and low for things to talk about that was relevant to this week, and there's not much. It's kind of a slow month really so far, but nonetheless we put together this show for you, and we have some. Actually, we're going to talk about it being a slow month, that's one of our topics. But we do have some good topics today. One of them is Puyo Puyo Tetris, my for your consideration game. We also have Alone in the Dark, Sony games on PC. We're talking a little bit more about that. Yes, you've been asking for it. Multiversus, we're going to talk about that as well. And some other surprises along the way that I won't spoil. But first, the quote of the week. The quote of the week, Vinny, congratulations. It's your quote. And I can't wait to talk to you more about this quote. We're going to just dive right in. Quote, Vinny says, quote, "One of the things I'm thinking of here is this kind of looks like Batman Arkham meets Harry Potter in a weird way. If you actually look at gameplay, the fighting elements here." End quote. So Vinny was talking about how Harry Potter, the new Harry Potter game, Hogwarts Legacy, which just recently got delayed, looks like Batman Arkham Asylum or Arkham series, that combat. But then here's the interesting thing. He also compared Shenmue 2 to Batman Arkham. And he also compared an upcoming Wukong game to Batman Arkham. So last week, I told him he was playing fast and loose with these Batman Arkham comparisons. And I don't think Rocksteady is, I don't think they would be happy about it, Vinny. So, but I'm going to give you a chance to defend yourself. What do you think about this quote of the week?
Well, you can't blame me that these games are building off of the Arkham combat. You can't shoot the messenger, per se. I can't think of a better way to describe the Harry Potter game. Batman Arkham meets Harry Potter. This is exactly what I saw when I was watching the game. I'm telling you right now, people are going to play this game and say, man, this reminds me a lot of Batman Arkham meets Harry Potter. I can't think of a better way to describe the new Harry Potter game. I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm not even saying it in a negative way whatsoever. I think that's exactly what I'm looking for in a Harry Potter game. A long-ranged, here I go again, Batman Arkham combat style. It's going to be long-range meets Batman Arkham.
I just want to clear the air here. When you say that things are Batman Arkham, you're just saying you're a character, and it's a one person against several people in third-person action, and you have a dodge button. Is that what Batman Arkham is to you, or does it go deeper than that?
It sounds about right. Obviously the combat's going to go a little deeper than that, but I think it's enemies kind of standing off to the side, not really doing anything, taking their turns to attack you. That's very Batman Arkham. You're taking them one at a time, hopefully, like a really fun dodge button, timing your dodge, probably parrying. I would imagine that parrying is a huge part of this game, if I had to guess. And that's not, like I said, not a bad thing whatsoever. I think, I can't wait for the Harry Potter game, and it's exactly what I said here, man. It's the exact combat that I'm looking for. So, but yes, that is what I'm referring to. Okay. I know that it should go deeper than that, but I'm not willing to go there.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I think you just proved my point, but it's okay. So we're going to dive right into the first topic here. We have Alone in the Dark remake. So this is a remake. Now, a lot of people have been commenting in about the difference between remake and remaster, specifically on one of our videos that we posted. Let's get it right. This is a remake. Whereas a remaster is taking the original assets of the game, the original sort of groundwork of the game, and enhancing it to modern day. A remake takes the original ideas and turns it into something completely different, with maybe a different directing style, a different delivery style, and that's what we're getting here with this new Alone in the Dark game. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the last Alone in the Dark game came out in 2008, and that was an extension of the series. This is a revitalization of the series. It's supposed to be based on the original 1992 game. So, Vinny, talk to me about Alone in the Dark, this reveal trailer that we've seen for it. The thing that I compare it to right out the gate is Resident Evil, because Resident Evil is doing something very successful with their remake sort of. I don't know if you want to call it a model or style, or I guess the best way to describe it is a strategy. They have a very succinct, very specific strategy with their remakes, and it seems like Alone in the Dark, the developer is Pieces Interactive. They're taking a very similar approach. So talk to me about this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's hard not to look at this and immediately think of the Resident Evil 2 remake, the Resident Evil 3 remake, that Capcom has kind of really ushered in this almost like a new era of, like you said, not a remaster, but a genuine remake of these games and taking them in fun and exciting new directions, so to speak, because this looks awesome. I'm right there with you. I think this is something that I'm going to play. I don't know about you. I've never played any of the Alone in the Dark games. This looks a lot like Resident Evil. I'm seeing some puzzles. I'm seeing, obviously, the combat, very familiar, that over-the-shoulder combat of Resident Evil. It's very similar in that way. It's pretty impossible not to compare the two because it's only natural. But I'm excited, man. This, as good as the fact that the Resident Evil 2 remake was so well received and just amazing, it's kind of ushered in this new era where we're seeing games like this Alone in the Dark remake, Dead Space remake. We saw Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 be remade. We're now seeing RE4 being remade. This is not going to be the last time that we see this, particularly for these horror genres too, because a lot of the older horror games, I mean, with technology where it's at now, you're able to just go places that it's night and day. Obviously, this compared to the 1992 game, it's not even close. So I'm excited about this, man. I really am. I'm excited that we're getting these games and these types of games. And as it looks like they poured a lot of work into this. It looks really good. Graphically, it looks awesome. And I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm interested to see if they're going to charge full price for this game. This almost looks to me like they may charge like $40, something like that. That's kind of what I'm getting here. Do you think this is going to be a full price game? I'm curious.
I think 60 all the way for this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't think 70 because nothing about it really screams next gen. And I feel like you have to have some sort of next gen offering to really charge that 70 price tag. But I think 60 is fair for this. On a sort of unrelated note, I did want to say this game reminds me of... Okay, so we have time to sort of dive a little deeper into these topics because, like I said, we don't have a lot of really interesting topics. So let me just back up a little bit and start over. We have a clear-cut difference going on here between third person and first person. Now, the third person style, in my opinion, lends itself to a different kind of storytelling than the first person style does. It's not better or worse, it's just different. So when I see this trailer, this reveal trailer for Alone in the Dark, and it's in third person, I'm kind of getting story vibes similar to The Quarry, similar to Until Dawn, and it seems like the good elements of that, where we're almost a voyeur watching this character sort of go through this. We're controlling him, but it's not us that's doing it. It's this character that's doing it. This is a character in a world. And that's sort of what I'm getting at with this. And I love it. I love what it seems like they're doing with the story. It seems like it's going to be very strong in that department. So what do you think about the differences between first person versus third person and just the story direction that this game seems to be going in?
That's a really good point because I think it's... I think it's a really good point just because you can really relate to a character, particularly a character that you're playing more so in the third person, from the third person perspective. There's something about seeing that character that adds depth to, everything. You can see their reactions to things like that. It's very difficult for a first person game to really, there's only a few that have successfully made me genuinely care about a character. If you in a first person game, it's very difficult to do that. The games that come to mind for me are probably BioShock, maybe Modern Warfare 1, things like that. It's just very difficult to do. It's very difficult to relate and care about characters when you're in the first person format. So it's a good point, man. I hope this is a really good story. We don't see a lot of good horror stories. A lot of times they go really off the cuff and they can get really, in a weird way, complex, almost too complex for their own good. I think the Resident Evil series suffers from that a lot, where just some of the storylines go a little too far out there, and it can be difficult to kind of wrap your head around why characters are making certain decisions. That's typically a problem in the Resident Evil franchise. It's kind of not believable, some of the way that these characters react and things like that. So I hope you're right here. I hope you're right, and I do agree. Based on what we've seen in the trailer, I don't know a lot of it about the Alone in the Dark franchise, but it does seem like they're placing an emphasis on story from what we're seeing here. It looks really good.
Well, what you said about outlandish horror stories in video games also rings true in movies. It's just something about this genre, the horror genre, that is very difficult. And I don't envy the creators in this genre because I don't know what I would do, but it seems like it's very easy to, not easy, but more it's more accessible to build that tension and come up with a game plan for that than it is to wrap it up all in a nice bow at the end of the game. That's the problem. The conclusion. Whenever you watch a horror movie that is really successful, the ending is always really, really good because it's you got to balance. It's a balancing act between, do you leave the audience hopeful at the end? Do you leave them desperate at the end? What sort of message are you trying to give? It's, in my opinion, a lot easier to find a way to build that tension than it is to make that payoff on a narrative level worth it all. So it's a really difficult genre, but I really feel like horror belongs on the gaming medium. I really do. I think horror, it's gotten to the point where for me, other than, and I know I've referenced this movie before, but Hereditary and certain different movies that have taken a unique approach to the horror genre, it almost becomes very cookie cutter, when we're talking about movies. When we're talking about games, we can do things like we just discussed, change perspective between first and third person. That adds a whole layer of suspense to it. And I'm going to backpedal a little bit here, but I personally think that first person is a whole hell of a lot scarier than third person. And that's why you see a lot of movies that are trying to scare you, that are going for that suspense, horror, thriller, whatever you want to call it. They are utilizing first person because it makes you feel isolated. It makes you feel alone. When we take a game like Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 2 Remake and you see Leon, you feel like you're there with someone. When you're in first person, you feel all alone. You know what I mean? So it's a very sort of tricky balancing act that they have to perform here. I don't know. This is to me, this is exciting because they're trying to maintain that suspense level in the third person. So I don't know if you have anything else to say on this topic.
Anthony.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry to add to that. To add to this topic, I guess I think the future of horror, and I'm curious to see if you agree, is going to be VR. I think that's going to be massive for horror games, and it just adds so much to the scare factor. It is truly horrifying. I don't know any experiences that maybe you have in VR, in the VR format. It is truly terrifying.
Yeah,
I just figured I'd throw that out there because I think that's where we're going to see these things going forward, in the future, probably the near future.
No, that's true. And on a complete side note, let me just say this: I kind of like that we have a very minimal amount of topics today because it's allowing us to sort of spread our wings and go in whatever direction we want to. It's so write in, let us know if this is more interesting to you rather than a more organized, more bullet point-y type conversation. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. My managerial side of my brain is starting to sparkle. But anyway, so VR, yes. The only experience I have with a horror game in VR is when you brought your Oculus Go over to my mom's house, and I was, we were there, we were hanging out, and you were letting everyone try it, right? And I put headphones in, and I was in a bed, and there was this clown, and I was looking around for this clown, and it was like this one of the scariest experiences in my life. And I have a very high tolerance for horror. I really do. But I was so scared of this game, man. It was so scary. And then there was another one where you're just walking down a hallway, but the Oculus Go, the controllers were so bad that I couldn't get over that hurdle of what the hell are these controls? But just walking down a hallway with a flashlight in VR, it's super scary. It's super scary. I could not agree with you more, Vinny. And if you are a avid listener of this show, you know I'm kind of wishy-washy on VR. Some parts of me thinks it's great. Some parts of me, like to steer clear of it. If there's a horror game worth playing in VR, I don't know if I have the courage to do it because it's that scary. But, that might be the thing that tilts the scale for me. It's just, when we talk about VR, the thing that scares me the most is the price point and the accessibility. So those two things sort of go hand in hand. For one, you got this long cord sticking out, and my PS5's in my living room. I'm about a yard and a half away from my TV. So it's not easy to just have this giant cord hanging. If I had more of a PC setup, then yeah, that'd be easier. So that's what I mean by accessibility. I think wireless is inevitable. Eventually it'll be wireless, but it's so much information that they're pumping into that helmet it's kind of hard to do that right now. I get it. But anyway, the price point is more of what concerns me. Is this thing going to be $700 when it launches? How much is the VR going to be? It's probably going to be the same price, if not more expensive than the PS5.
I agree. I think it's going to probably be in that $400, $500 range. I don't think it'll be $700, but I do think we're looking at a $500 headset likely. It's probably not a great look for Sony to have a headset the same price of the console, so they might be a little bit hesitant to do that.
But the
they
first
did it
VR
with the
was.
PSVR 1. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
And so they did it with the PSVR 1, and that didn't seem to be a problem for them. From what we've heard from Sony, that was a pretty big success. So clearly it was because they're doing a second one. So, yeah, man. And I think you had I think you had uploaded a video, on the channel about PSVR 2 and the upgrades and things like that. They're doing some pretty special stuff, and it speaks to that accessibility option that you're talking about, where I think the games are going to be a little bit simpler to play. You talked about the Oculus controllers being a little bit all over the place. I think Sony's has a lot of smart ideas for VR to make it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more natural to play the games. So I can't wait, dude. I really can't wait for PSVR 2 to get here, but I do think we're staring at a $400, likely $500 headset.
Yeah, I think it'll be upwards of 400. I think. I think 400's, yeah. If it's 400, I'll buy it day one. It's not going to be 400.
Yeah, there's no way.
So let's sort of reel it all back in now. Coming back to Alone in the Dark, this game will probably have a VR mode. You know what I mean? Because that's the trend that we've started to see. Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8, they eventually add these VR modes. I don't want that, though. I want a game that you look at and you say, I need to get VR because I need to play this game. This horror game is only on VR, and I want it built from the ground up for VR because... come on, man. This is the second iteration of this thing, and it's still just sort of acting as this peripheral device. But Sony is pushing it as another console, an extension of their brand, and they need to show that. They did it with Call of the Mountain. That reveal is pretty big, but they need to follow it up with some more good stuff like this. But anyway, last thing on Alone in the Dark that I wanted to say. It is going to be, because we were talking a lot about story, so here's some info on that. It's going to be, or it was, written by the writer of Amnesia and Soma. Amnesia was one of the scariest games I've ever played. just walking around in that game scared the shit out of me. And there's no real enemies. That's the crazy part. Like there's enemies, but it's not. There's no combat. You're just hiding. And if you really take away all the atmosphere, the gameplay is pretty basic. But oh man, so they're in good hands there. I will say with that caliber of a writer. So our next topic, we're sort of, like I said, light on topic. So we're kind of going back to Sony games on PC. We talked about this in a previous episode, but we're talking about it here again. The update here, Sony actually has a part of their website dedicated to the PC ports. I believe it's just, PlayStation.com/PC or something along those lines. So this is courtesy of VideoGamesChronicle.com. Quote, a new FAQ on Sony's website hints that PC ports of PlayStation games may require a PSN account at some point in the future. End quote. And to sort of summarize this article, they did some pretty nice detective work here, and they just went through the FAQ on Sony's website, and they sort of deduced what it seems like, and I think that they're dead on. In some of these answers to these FAQs, they use words such as currently or not possible now, in regards to, do you need a PlayStation account to log into these games? So what we might be seeing, or download the games, I should say. What we might be seeing is Epic Game Store, Steam. This might be a service, a DRM for Sony that I think it would really behoove them to do something like this. But something interesting that I also did not know about PC games, Sony PC games, there's no trophy support, but there is Epic Games Store and Steam achievements, whatever they're called, on both of those sites. Yeah, those are live and part of the game. So talk to me about all this, Vinny.
It doesn't surprise me that I think we both agree. I think eventually they're going to reach a point where you're going to need a PlayStation account to play these games. I hope personally that they don't do their own, proprietary service on PC, stop releasing the games on Steam and open up, I don't know, a PlayStation PC website, right, where you play the games and you have your library. I know a lot of people have problems with, you discussed Epic Game Store. A lot of people, and I know the PC community in general, I don't have a good feel for it, but I do know that people are really upset whenever games are exclusive to the Epic Games, storefront. And a lot of that is due to like accessibility problems and lack of, features and things like that. And there's limitations to what you can and can't do. And it can just open up a can of worms, I think, for Sony that they probably would be wise to avoid at this point in time. I think releasing it on as many, I'm assuming that these games are only available on Steam. Are the PlayStation games also available on Epic Game Store, or is it just Steam? These are just Steam releases, right?
No, it's Steam and Epic Game Store. I'm on their website right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting, which is fine. I don't think that's a problem whatsoever, give it to more people, more people's hands, things like that. But I do think it would be cool to, like you said, be able to unlock trophies on your PC. I think that's where my mind goes to. Sony probably has a lot more deeper reasons to do this, probably marketing, seeing where players are playing. They probably have a lot more access to certain things if they do this, if players are logged into the PlayStation Network when they're still playing these games, even if they are on PC. Probably a lot more, information that they can get. But I don't know, man. I think we're headed down this path, though. I do think you'll probably need to log into the PSN, and I just hope we're not going to see them only release games on their PlayStation proprietary site. I don't want to see that. I think it's a good thing that they have this, these partnerships with Steam and Epic Games and probably other services. I don't know. But I think it's a good thing. I like you said, I do think they might be headed down that path, though, of, you know what, we'll just release this on our own, get all of the profits, and that's going to be it. I hope that they don't do that, though.
I mean, I see I'm going back and forth on this. I really am. I think that it would behoove them to have a DRM type service. I do. And I think they will. I don't know if they're going to make the games exclusive on there, but one sort of middle ground here would be to have a, I guess, sort of parallel of the PlayStation Store discounts only on Sony's DRM. You know what I mean? Application, whatever they're going to call it, PlayStation PC. I think if they did that, it would be the best of both worlds because, okay, you can pay full price on Steam if you got to play it on Steam. Sony's going to make more money anyway because they're going to get a bigger percentage. Or here's the attraction of our DRM service. You can get the game at a discount that's the same as the discount that you could get on the PlayStation. You know what I mean? So maybe they'll do something like that. But I agree with you. Exclusivity in the end is, if they were going for that, then they wouldn't have released these games on PC in the first place.
Yeah. I will say this, Anthony, where my mind is starting to go to now as we're talking about it is I think down the line, it actually makes a lot of sense now that I'm kind of processing it a little bit here. We're probably going to see a dedicated PlayStation app for PCs. And I don't know if you're familiar with like the Microsoft game board on PCs where you are literally it's like you're playing on Xbox. It's funny. I can be on my Series X, right? And I could view my friends list and I could see, friends playing League of Legends. It will say, our cousin Joey who plays on PC all the time, Dogman online, and it shows the game League of Legends, which is not a Microsoft game at all. It shows on my Series X that that's what he's playing right now.
Well, it is now, but it wasn't at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess they do have like a
they own everything.
Right? Yeah, exactly, right? And it's just funny, though, because I think that we're going to start seeing that. I think there's going to be some sort of PlayStation app down the line. If with all this investment into PC, it just makes sense for them to do that and to have access to that. And how funny would it be to be on our PlayStation 5s and seeing someone online and it says PC and they're playing their PC game? It's just so bizarre, but I think that's where we're headed. And having the ability to join like a PlayStation party on your PC. I think that's obvious. That's the obvious next step for me. In my opinion, I think that's where we're headed.
I mean, that would be all a part of that DRM application, would it not?
Exactly. Yes.
It would all be one in the same, pretty much. I mean, what they would do is they would frame it as, look how easy it is to log into the same account. You can get trophies. You can do this. You can do that. When really they're just trying to get that digital rights restriction, and it's
Yep.
sort of a double-edged sword there, and it's sort of a little marketing trick that Sony can do there. They plug this service, this PlayStation app, like you said, as such a benefit to the consumer, when really it's a way to have a DRM type, application. I don't know if I'm using this term correctly, but I know a DRM is, Steam, Epic Games, whatever. So have that and cut out the middleman, because we're Sony. We are PlayStation. We don't need a middleman. We never had one before. We are the marketplace. We have the PlayStation Store. So what are we doing giving a cut of our profits to Steam, to Epic? Why? Why would we do that? So, I think you're dead on. And this is where it gets even more interesting. So most of the PC games on here are single player. Almost exclusively. The only one that isn't is Predator Hunting Grounds and Helldivers. Those are the only two that aren't. So, maybe you have a PC. Maybe you don't have a PlayStation. I have a PlayStation. I don't have a PC. And I want to play Helldivers co-op with you. Hop on Discord and let's go. You know what I mean? This is sort of the future. It's a weird. The most bizarre thing about this all is it's the quote unquote console wars are still here, yet the gap is being bridged more and more at the same time. All these acquisitions are contributing to this sort of newfound rivalry. Reinvigorated rivalry between Microsoft and Sony. However, games have never been more accessible. It's just such a, it's almost an oxymoron. Do you agree? Am I losing it?
No, I agree. I think that the console wars it's that name is just starting to sort of diminish over time. Like there's not really a console war. I think in the 10 years into the future, we're probably going to see simultaneous releases on Sony first party games, probably on a few of them, maybe not every single one of them, but we're headed towards this universal sort of community, which is crazy to think. It really is. And I think particularly with Microsoft acquiring, we're talking, I mean, that Activision acquisition is kind of changing everything and is probably going to force Sony to be a little bit more, generous to Microsoft and a little bit more generous to that PC community, because Sony doesn't want to lose Call of Duty. They don't want to lose, games like Overwatch. These massive IPs that Microsoft is just, with endless amounts of money, is just gobbling everything up right now. Funny enough, did you see Sony's stance on the Microsoft acquisition that came out this week? I forgot to run this by you, but
No.
basically they said, yeah, right now I know that the Microsoft acquisition of Activision is kind of being under review, and what they're allowing is kind of different companies to speak up and let their voices be heard. And Sony publicly made a statement and basically said, we don't think that this should happen. There's nothing that can compete with Call of Duty, regardless of what we do internally. We're not going to have that sort of brand recognition, regardless. Killzone, anything like that. They are really strongly against this acquisition, which is obvious. They're not going to love it. Go ahead.
So when you say it's under review, are you talking about as far as it's sort of from a government
monopoly
perspective to see if it's a monopoly?
Yeah, monopoly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. It's I'm glad they're reviewing it. No shot this deal gets taken back. You look at Disney, and not to get too off topic, but you look at Disney, and I think it, I think it arguably should happen, but it's not going to, because that Disney 20th Century Fox acquisition is way, way bigger than Microsoft acquiring Activision. Even though that's massive too. It's just, Disney's market share in entertainment, because I don't think you could say movies anymore because it's streaming services and television and movies.
Yeah.
But they're in that, we'll call it passive entertainment, that sort of market share is, this is just a number off the top of my head, but probably 80% Disney. So, I think Sony still has, I don't know. Again, these are just random numbers off the top of my head. They still probably have 40% market share, even after all this is said and done. You got God of War, Horizon, Last of Us, all these big IPs that really they garner millions and millions of players. So Sony still has a big chunk there. I don't think it's happening. I sort of wish it would. I think that these acquisitions end up being a bad thing overall, because it sort of restricts creativity in favor of a more corporate approach to video games. But we're just gonna have to wait and see, man. This is gonna be something that we're monitoring for the next. When you come back and listen to episode 100 of the PSBlue podcast, we're still gonna be talking about this. I promise you.
Oh yeah,
we're still gonna be talking
anywhere.
Right. And if it's all said and done, we're going to be talking about the implications of everything that happened already. This is the new quote unquote console wars. These acquisitions, distribution, and publishing, all these, it's all getting like globbed together in this big mess. Speaking of getting globbed together in a big mess, multiverses. So everybody, this game is trending on just about every form of social media. It is taken YouTube by storm. I can't scroll past, and I don't even watch multiverses content, but I can't scroll down my YouTube feed without seeing 4 videos for multiverses. Okay? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I swear I see this game all over the place. And it's funny because we talked about Nickelodeon All Stars, that game's dead now. Like they really tried. They added voice acting. They started beefing everything up as far as gameplay tweaks here and there, adding features, having sort of a timeline of when they were going to. But the problem there is they don't have the firepower that Warner Brothers has here with Multiversus. They came out swinging. Like Nickelodeon All Stars, they looked at Smash Bros. And they said, that's cool. Let's do that. Multiversus looked at Smash Bros. And said, that's our competition. Let's destroy them. And it's wild, man, because they have a real shot here we were just talking about market share. They could take this, what do you want to call it? Character brawler. I don't know the proper term that people use, but they could take some of the market share here, like a real chunk of it. They really could. They already have, I would argue. And this game's multi-platform. So more opportunities to get your hands on this game than you could on Super Smash. Even though everybody and their grandmother has a Nintendo Switch, but that's beside the point. You know, this is a really, really interesting development here with this game. Rick and Morty just got announced, and I believe they're separate characters, but one emphasis that this game has, and that sort of separates it from the other games, and I thought this is a cool thing that they're pushing, is they're still solos, but they're really pushing for like a duos mode. Evo, which is owned by Sony, as we know, had grand finals. I'm just looking at this. I don't know anything about this, so please don't write in. This is a very, surface level research that I'm doing. They had grand finals for duos in this game. And just some of the combos and moves, the synergy between characters, the way they balance this game. Like I said, Warner Brothers has all the firepower in the world to compete with Smash. And no gimmicks here. No gimmicks. We don't have items. They know that that's not the way people play Smash. There's a million items in Smash and it's fun for like a party setting, but that's not the way people want to play it. People just want to obsess over the characters and their combat and learn their moves. And again, the synergy between two characters and doubles is really cool. I just said a lot. So Vinny, unpack it for me, please, because I really want to hear what you have to say about this. And then we're going to go through the roster and sort of have some fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you. I was very surprised as to how successful this is. It's just blown up. I think the first thing that I will say, I've played a little bit of Multiversus. I don't know what your experiences are with the game or if you've played it yet. I played it for actually a few hours. I will say this, firstly, the game runs really well. They did a good job of making a good fighting game. Like, it is a genuine treat. Like, it is a lot of fun to play this game. And I love the few hours that I put into it. I could see the depth that it has, that the combat has, like you said, pairing different characters up, different sort of, that synergy between the characters. It's a really good game, firstly. Secondly, to piggyback off of your point, I think that the roster, when we talk about the kind of the failures of Nickelodeon All-Stars Battle Royale, the variety of characters here, the breadth and the access that Warner Bros. Has to just so many different characters, it's just different than Nickelodeon characters. We're seeing Arya Stark versus Bugs Bunny. That's something that you're not going to...
Yeah.
It's almost jarring to see,
right?
But it works. It works in this game. And I looked at this game... Funny enough, the first thing I saw about this game, like, as I was when I was downloading it, was LeBron James. And I was like, why is LeBron James in this game? It's just such a bizarre character
Space Jam
to have in here. And like you said, yeah, Space Jam. It directly relates to Space Jam, which is hilarious.
Right.
He's actually a really fun character to play. I was playing as him for a little bit. It's a really well-made game, man. I'm happy that it's good, and going free to play was obviously the right move. I mean, such a great business model in terms of just getting so many people playing this game. I will say this, I think they probably messed up a little bit with the season 1 release date. They probably could have released it a few weeks back. I know this game is blown up, but it took them a little longer. I know season 1 was delayed by a few weeks. It's finally coming out. Rick and Morty, I think, are going to be the characters that release in season 1. They were probably just trying to get their servers straight, because so many people were playing this game. But I'm happy it's doing well, man. I'm happy that there's finally competition for Smash Bros. Even though Smash Bros is fantastic in its own right. I'm happy to see these sort of platform fighters, whatever genre we want to call this, on PlayStation. It's fun to see.
Yeah, I have played it, and I agree with you completely. The combat's very tight. It's a lot. You don't feel like you're playing a knockoff of Smash Bros. You feel like you're playing the way we have Dota 2 and League of Legends. It's 1A and 1B in the MOBA universe. It feels like that. They really and the developer, you know their name, right?
No.
They're called Player First. And they sort of live up to that name because they have this really awesome feature that I don't know if it's getting enough press, for lack of a better word, as it should. And it's the fact that you can test out any character in the game before you buy them. Now, I have my gripes with free-to-play. I do. But when you have that much respect for your player base, that you give them an opportunity, because I remember back in my League of Legends days, the only time that you could test out a champion to see if you liked them is if they were part of some free, there's like a list of 4 or 5 champions that are free this week that you could try, but you could not go in. I think they might have added it now, but this should be a day one feature like it is here in Multiverses. It's very player friendly that they're doing this, because it's so easy to say, let's lock all these characters behind a paywall. You can't even look at them. They get grayed out if you didn't pay for them. Let's lock them all behind a paywall. And we don't want you to even sniff this character until you purchase them. And it's good that that's changing, because what if you, I'll use your character example. What if you download LeBron James and you just spent whatever it's called, Gleam or something. Actually, I think that's for cosmetics, but whatever. You go to the Gleam store and you buy your mystery box pass with your Fortnite key and sorry, my hatred of free to play is showing. Anyway, you buy LeBron James with real money after paying for the currency in the game, and you hate him. Now what? You're stuck. It's so awesome that they let you try the character in as many times, as long as you want. It's not locked behind any time limit or anything like that. You just go in there and and what I'm referring to, for those of you that don't know, you can try any character in the training mode. So you can test out combos and test out abilities and get a feel for the character before you make the purchase. That's great. And I'm rambling way too long on a very small feature, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Vinny, but talk to me more about this.
Well, let me steer the conversation in this direction, because I think we both agree this is a really good game. I think we're both happy that it's kind of blown up in this way. What are the characters that you want to see? I got to ask. Warner Bros. Owns a lot of IPs. I wrote this down because I that's immediately where my mind always goes with these sort of platform fighters, is what characters do we want to see? I'm going to go ahead. The character that I want to see the most in this is Tony Soprano. Let's do Tony. Could you imagine Tony Soprano in this? Well, they own HBO.
What?
So
right.
Any of
right,
those
right.
HBO. And we have Arya Stark. Why not throw Tony Soprano in here? I hope that they're weird like that. I hope they choose Tony Soprano versus Bugs Bunny. How hilarious would that be? That'd be amazing. I would love to see it.
Yeah, that's...
What about you? What do you want to see? Warner Bros. Has a lot of IPs.
You know what?
I'm looking at them here. Yeah.
Okay, so I've thought about this, obviously, because before I wrote this topic, of course, we did this with the Nickelodeon cast and crew. We're going to do this here with the Warner. Warner's owned some awesome things. You're right. I don't think they can compete with Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon has a bunch of cartoon characters and some really awesome stuff, but Wow. Here, here's I have 4. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
The first one's lame. I just think it'd be a really cool character. Scarecrow from the DC Comics Batman. I just think it'd be a really I just think that character would have such a cool move set. Be like an assassin type character. Just be a cool character. My next one.
I agree. It's a good one.
My next one is a little bit better. Dexter from Dexter's Lab.
Oh my! Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Wow, that's a good one.
Well, they have
Wow,
Adventure
that would be
Time
really
on
cool.
there. Yeah, it's Cartoon Network. Anything on Cartoon Network.
That's right. Holy
Yeah.
cow! I didn't even realize that they owned Cartoon Network.
Right.
Oh
Right.
boy! Not Johnny Bravo.
Oh my
Isn't
god.
Johnny Bravo Cartoon Network?
Then Multiversus has to buy Nickelodeon All-Stars Battle Royale or whatever it's called, so Johnny Bravo and the Crimson Chin can fight each other because they're like doppelgangers.
They are. Wow, that would be so cool. I forgot about the Crimson Chin. Yeah, we never got that DLC. We're still waiting on it.
Okay, so my next one is Larry David.
Larry David would be good. That would be a good one.
And then
That is a really good one.
yeah, I just think it'd be funny. It's kind of like your Tony Soprano one. But here's my number 1 pick for Multiversus. This is the number 1 character I want to see in Multiversus. I want you to guess because you're not going to guess it. So let's make you look like.
Give me maybe like a something to work with here.
Okay,
What is
it's
it?
a movie.
What studio is it?
It's a movie.
Okay, it's a movie owned by Warner Bros.
Yeah. What studio? Warner.
Or not studio. Sorry.
I know what you meant.
No,
I know what you meant.
What genre?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a movie.
I don't know. What is it? Just tell me.
Ace Ventura.
Oh man! Wow. Man, I could picture him perfectly in this game.
Could you imagine his move set?
Yes. Yes, he would fit perfectly in this.
You would just do a cartoonish sort of like the Arya Stark character, and then you could go one of 2 ways. You can make him have a bunch of different animal moves, or you could have like the Pokemon trainer and have 3 different animals that you could switch into. There's so many different things you could do.
Gosh,
Yeah.
There's so many different things.
Yeah. So
Holy cow. I will say this, Anthony. I think we are one IP that I see here that I think we are going to see. We're going to see some Mortal Kombat character at some point. Definitely. There's no doubt in my mind.
yeah,
Probably a
it's like Street
Sub-Zero or
Fighter.
Scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a smart
Warner
point.
Bros loves to do that. But yeah, I absolutely love that Ace Ventura one. That's one that they need to do.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's probably number 1 on my list too. Now that you brought it up, that's a really good one.
So here's the working roster right here. Like I said, we're gonna really get into these topics because we're trying to. I don't want to say we're padding the time out, but we're taking a different approach here because I want to see what we can do on a more deep dive level with these top talking points. Here's the roster: Rick, Morty, 2 separate characters; LeBron, Iron Giant, Taz, Velma, Arya Stark, Batman, Bugs Bunny, Finn the Human, Garnet, Harley Quinn, Jake the Dog, Rain Dog, which is a proprietary character, Shaggy, Steven Universe, Superman, Tom and Jerry as 1 character, Wonder Woman. So they got some good ones in here, but they also have some ones that are just pretty bland. You know, it'll be interesting to see what they add in the future. Rick and Morty are 2 great additions. LeBron,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool, I guess. It's just he's not really a character; he's a person. You know,
Exactly.
that's my problem with LeBron. If he wasn't playing himself in Space Jam, like if he was playing, you know, a fiction. I know it's a fictionalized version of LeBron James, but if he was acting, for example, Go ahead.
I was going to say I have an example for you. Dwayne Johnson. Don't put Dwayne Johnson in the game. Put Shazam.
Exactly.
Dwayne Johnson, Shazam.
Exactly, and he can look like
That's where my mind
exactly. Great comparison. Yeah, LeBron is it's just weird. To me, it doesn't.
It is
belong.
a little weird. It's a little jarring.
I gotta say, my out of the list that we see here, the Iron Giant is the one that sticks out to me. That's a cool one. It's an older movie. It's a beloved movie, but that's sort of out of left field. What?
It is out of left field. You're right. That's a cool IP.
Yeah.
That's a cool one to have. That's kind of. I'm happy that they're going to some of their older franchises.
Yeah.
You know, they're all over the place here. The Arya Stark one, though, can we just comment on
Yeah.
that? It strangely enough, you say LeBron James doesn't fit, and I actually agree. He's a fun character to play as, but just like it's a little weird seeing him in there.
Right.
Arya Stark, you would think would be a weird character, but she fits. Like it
Totally
makes
agree.
total sense when you watch her.
Totally agree.
And it's funny because she looks like a cool character to play, but she fits in this game.
Yeah. She, like, if you had Maisie Williams, like, if that's
Random Macy Williams running out there.
it just doesn't make sense. That's the same thing with LeBron James. I don't know. I get that it's his character in Space Jam. I get it. Okay? Don't write in about it. I understand. We're just saying it doesn't go. Okay.
Just doesn't feel right.
Moving on.
I think people are going to agree. It
I
just
think so,
doesn't
too.
look right. It looks weird. It feels dirty. It feels wrong.
So this next topic is, we're kind of repeating ourselves from last week, so bear with us here, but Hogwarts Legacy got delayed to February 2023. I've said it before on this podcast. Don't trust a release date. We're in the post-COVID era. Release dates are pretty much moot now. You don't know when a game's going to come out, especially after Cyberpunk 2077, because nobody wants to be the next Cyberpunk 2077, right? So people are starting to realize you can only release the game once. You know, you can release patches for it and things like that, but you can only release it. The game can only go gold one time. So make it count. And Hogwarts Legacy got delayed. February 2023. It was supposed to come out fall of this year, I believe, or holiday season of this year, one of those two. It was somewhere in that range. They were very nebulous about it, and it had all the makings of getting delayed. You know, we haven't seen a lot of footage. We just discussed there was some new footage released, but we still haven't seen enough to say, okay, this game's a month away, 2 months away, you know? So this delay makes total sense to me. This is more of an announcement sort of deal for the podcast. If you weren't aware, I want to let you know right here, right now, this game got delayed. That's all I have to say about it. February 2023, we'll see it. I'll see it when I believe it. What do you have to say on this, Vinny?
I think you bringing up Cyberpunk 2077 is totally appropriate here. Now that, as you kind of talked about it, if there's one good thing that came out of that launch, it's that now we are really starting to see more so than ever, than I think we've ever seen before. And a lot of it is COVID, like you said, but I think a lot of it now is looking at that experience that Cyberpunk had and that CD Projekt Red had. And we're seeing this hesitancy from developers, from really good developers, you know, not to release an unfinished product. I'm happy about it. I really am. I'm ecstatic. I you know, take all the time that you need. A delay is, you know, that it sucks. This one in particular was a gut punch to me personally. We talked about it last week. This is probably top 3 my most anticipated games was of this year. And I know we're going to talk a little bit later about things being kind of barren later into the year, but this one, it makes total sense. You know, Warner Bros., they know how important this is. Harry Potter, by the way, for multiverses, going back to that. I would love to. I think we're going to see Harry Potter.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Warner Bros. But I think Warner Bros. Knows the importance of releasing this game, and it better be, at the worst, it needs to be great. And everything that we've seen looks, in my opinion, we talked about it last week, it looks almost too good to be true. It looks really good. And so I'm happy that they're taking the time. Don't crunch your employees, you know, none of that stuff. You know, let them make the game that they want to make. And from what we've seen, it's living up to the expectation. As far as, you know, the trailers and the deep dives that they've done, everything looks so good with this game. February 2023, that's not too far off. I think, like you said, don't trust release dates. Even more so, don't trust release dates when they're only time frames. The only thing that we knew about this game was that it was coming out in fall of 2022.
Right.
And for us to not have had like a concrete release date at this point was a little weird. It kind of, kind of everything was pointing towards this. And like I said, it is a gut punch, but it is what it is. I'm going to wait, obviously, and I can't wait. I really cannot wait to get my hands on this game. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be great, man. I really do. I think this is to touch everything up, and that's it. I don't think we're looking at it like a huge, like they're probably just cleaning some things up. It's only 3 months, but I can't wait. I cannot wait. But you bringing up Cyberpunk, man, it was totally appropriate, totally spot on. That was definitely, it made these developers a lot more fearful in a good way to release these unfinished products.
Right. Because, once the review embargo goes up and the game gets 6s, that like devastates the sales of a game. It doesn't matter. Like we talked about the Avengers game, and I'm telling you, I don't know if you actually played it at all, but the game is good. The live service shit is awful. Don't even touch it. But the single player game is great, and so many people are not going to experience it because the game was written off before it even came out. And by day one, after that review embargo comes out, it's that's that. So yeah, it's a big deal for the game to come out in a at least a palatable state where you're not thinking about, are there a lot of glitches in this? You don't want to be thinking about that. It's just like seeing in a movie, seeing a editing mistake or an audio hiccup. It takes you out of the experience. You want to consume this stuff to consume it, not to think about it critically, So I'm happy it got delayed. It doesn't really bother me at all, to be honest with you. And it'll be interesting to see the synergy between Batman and Harry Potter and Multiverses, since they're from the same universe, the Arkham universe.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Well, Anthony, to bounce off that, just to wrap it up though, but we had reached a point when Cyberpunk came out. It was almost like a boiling point for gamers because the release it now, finish it later model was, people were getting fed up with it. My mind goes to Fallout 76. You brought up Avengers. We had reached a boiling point, particularly with the hype that Cyberpunk had going in, that it was over from that point on. They just and now look at Cyberpunk. I mean, you said that you played it and it's great.
Yeah.
And I'll probably play it back down the line, but we're just not seeing a lot about that game. There's not a lot of legs there right now, as far as I could tell. There's no DLC plan. There's nothing like that. So, colossal disaster, but probably for the better for the industry overall. All these developers learning a lesson, so to speak.
Yeah, and what's sick is the game sold like amazingly, even after Sony and Microsoft refunded console versions for the current gen console version of that game. We've talked about this on the channel before, so I won't harp on it too much, but nothing bad can happen out of a delay, in my opinion, except you don't get to play the game earlier. But you don't want to play an unfinished game anyway. Like, there's so many times where I see a game come out and I say, ooh, this game looks really good, but it looks a little bit buggy right now. I'm going to wait a few months. So, like, we're already doing that anyway. At least I do. I don't know if you do that, but I do.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe get it a little cheaper, and yeah. It's for me, that's sort of my MO. I do that all the time. But anyway, moving along. This is another sort of just announcement. Disney Plus and Spotify have native PS5 apps coming soon, reportedly. This comes from the6thAxis.com. And to summarize their article, pretty much just says Disney Plus and Spotify native apps are coming soon. We were running on the previous versions. If you use those two services. It was using the PS4 version for Spotify and the PS4 version for Disney Plus. So it was backwards compatible support, but it wasn't a native PS5 app, which is sort of weird to me because Spotify is kind of, I don't want to say it's pushed on the PlayStation 5, but there's like an icon for music, and if you click on that, you can go straight to Spotify. I had no idea I was running the PS4 version of it. When I don't listen to music while I play games a lot, but I do from time to time, and I wouldn't do it at first. And this is a side note, but I wouldn't do it at first because I was afraid of overpowering my PlayStation. Because I was like, I can't listen to music while I'm running this 4K 60 FPS game. I don't want my PlayStation to overheat. So it was just like,
gosh,
yeah,
that's so funny.
just like a paranoid thing that I wouldn't do. I'm beyond that now, but yeah, do you know what I'm talking about? It's a little icon, the music icon, and when you click on that, it goes to Spotify. So it's sort of, it never even occurred to me that it was the PS4 version of the app.
Yeah, I don't have Spotify personally, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know of any other ways to listen to music on the platform, any other apps that are available on the PlayStation 5. Maybe I'm wrong. The big ones obviously are Amazon Music. I think Amazon has one, and then obviously Apple Music. And I know you can't do Apple Music on PlayStation, as far as I could tell.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right that, it seems like it's just a little weird. I'm like you. I didn't even know that these apps, Disney Plus, Spotify, weren't even PS5 versions, I have Disney Plus on my PS5, and I'd always just assumed it was the PS5 version, it's just too funny that you bring this up. But I'll tell you what, man, I'm officially at the point, though. These updates are great. I know what I want now, and we talked about it briefly last week. I'm ready for Discord. I'm ready for the Discord app on PlayStation 5. And we brought up, I know this is maybe a little bit off topic, but that is the update that I am personally waiting for. Now, obviously 1440p is coming up down the pipeline, but let's get a Discord app, man. I think that's going to change everything. We talked about it, man, having the ability to do party chat with Xbox players. Well, that's officially solved with a Discord app. So that's the one that I have my eye out for. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, so like when you play Overwatch with Jay, does he have a PS5 or does he have a PS4?
He has a PlayStation 5, so we just hop into a PlayStation party chat. Now, sometimes my brother, he plays on PC, and Overwatch obviously has crossplay. And sometimes we'll play with him, and we have to go into this shitty Blizzard, Overwatch game chat, which is just not.
That's annoying.
It's actually pretty good, but it's not, it's not as high quality as what you're going to get in a Discord, Right. And so that's what I want, man. I'm ready.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense to me. It's just interesting. I was hoping your answer was he has a PS4 because I was curious if PS4 and PS5 sort of mesh well together because I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, they do. You haven't had a party chat with a PlayStation 4 player before?
I don't talk to people that are on last gen.
Yeah.
I don't.
We don't talk to those people. We don't the last gen.
No, I don't think I have, to be honest with you.
That is too funny. Yeah, I know it works pretty seamlessly. Exact same. I know when I got my PS5, Jay, who I play with a lot, had his PS4 for a good while there, and we were hopping in and out of party chats, essentially the same exact way. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And also clean up the game base, please. Those are some things that I'm looking for personally.
Yeah, so that's you're gonna have to look for this Disney Plus and Spotify update to come out first, though, Vinny, because that's right around the corner. So that's another little announcement that we had. Next topic. This is awesome. I love to see stuff like this. SpongeBob, the Cosmic Shake. Now, this game was revealed September of last year. However, gameplay video just came out for this one. And this game, it pretty much looks like more SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, but with updated graphics and a little, sort of, I want to say fantasy spin. I don't know. Fantasy is not the right word. It's very imaginative, and a game that you've been playing right now, Vinny, Psychonauts 2. They're clearly drawing some inspirations from that game, I believe. You know, you're going to different sort of landscapes and universes and the 3D platforming elements. They clearly played Psychonauts. It's very clear to me. And I know we're going to talk about that next week, but I'm down for anything that you can even put in the same breath as Psychonauts. And you know, you got the nice little circle when the character jumps, when SpongeBob jumps in the air, you got that little circle. I love that feature. We talked about that in Crash, but that's such a simple thing that we didn't think of as gamers for so long that it would have helped me so much in my earlier years of 3D platforming. But anyway, Vinny, what do you think about the Cosmic Shake?
This looks awesome. I'm right there with you. I think I totally agree. I see the Psychonauts resemblance, not just from a gameplay standpoint, but even from, you know, in particularly an artistic standpoint. Lots of variety, lots of weird going on here, a lot of weird stuff. But at the same time, it looks almost lovingly created, like a love letter to old-time SpongeBob fans who, like myself, and I know you, there's a lot of references to the older episodes of
That's
SpongeBob
a great point.
here.
Yeah.
Which I love personally. There's a lot of the, you know, cosmetics that I'm seeing are old classic SpongeBob. But I think it looks beautiful too. I thought Battle for Bikini Bottom, the remake, looked really good. It ran amazing. This looks like it runs really well. Lots of variety from a gameplay standpoint. This looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm not saying that I'm going to buy this day one, but I don't know. How much is this game going to be, man? This can't be a full price game. They typically launch these.
You always ask me like I have some insider info.
I know, right? Yeah, like what are we looking at here? No,
this is $60 all day.
Okay, $60. We're looking at. Yeah, I guess they haven't released. I'm predicting. Any sort of pricing details.
No, I'm predicting.
Yeah, I'm saying like they have not officially said anything regarding a price. I guess my mind went there because Battle for Bikini Bottom was a remake that was only, I think, like $30 when it launched.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I was asking. But this looks cool. I'm totally down to play this. I'm probably going to wait a little bit, especially if, like you say, if this game's $60, I don't know if I'm spending $60 on no SpongeBob game, but this looks really good. It definitely does. I encourage everybody that's listening, go watch the trailer. I'd be surprised if you didn't think it, at least just from an artistic standpoint, it looks cool.
Right.
You know, it looks very, very good.
I'm going to wait for the reviews to make sure that this game isn't deceptively amazing looking, because to me it looks great. And then once I get, you know, sort of a consensus that the game isn't broken or buggy or anything like that, I'm picking it up for full price day one, because it looks awesome. It looks awesome. I love SpongeBob. You know, it's like you said, it's classic SpongeBob. It's not really, there's no references that I've seen in this trailer, and they show a lot in this 3-minute trailer. They show a lot. I highly encourage you to go to PlayStation's YouTube and just check out this trailer, because they probably show off 4 or 5 different locations minimum, and a lot of variety in gameplay. So check it out. You won't be disappointed, but it looks very good. It looks very good, and it looks like Battle for Bikini Bottom had something to do with this, because I know Battle for Bikini Bottom had a speedrunning community. It also had just like a cult following, and then with the rehydrated and everything, that game, when that game came out, the remaster, it was a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people loved the game. It wasn't critically received very well, I would say. Did you beat that game, Vinny?
Which one? The Battle for Bikini Bottom? No,
yeah.
No, I did not.
I didn't beat it either, but I played it for more than I thought I would. It was the free game of the month a few months ago, and I probably got 5 hours into it at least, and it was really fun. There was a dry spell of mascot platformers in the mid 2010s to early 20s, I would say. And because I remember Ukulele. Now stay here with me, because I promise this will all come full circle. Ukulele, the original Ukulele, came out in 2017, right? And I remember being extraordinarily excited for that game because it was a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. And for me, for my money, it was finally another mascot platformer that I could be excited about. Then you have Crash 4, you have a Bikini Bottom, Battle for Bikini Bottom remake. We're starting to get, there's another one called KO the Kangaroo that I purchased. It's actually pretty good. It just came out. It's kind of a little cringy, but the gameplay is awesome. You're starting to see a revival of mascot platformers, and this is something that I am just so over the moon about. Psychonauts 2 is my favorite one that's come out in the last however many years, but there was a dry spell for a while there where you didn't see any 3D platformers, you didn't see any mascot platformers. I don't know why. It's one of my all-time favorite genres. Vinny, you said you love 2D platformers, and I know you like 3D platformers as well, but I don't know. There's a special place in my heart for games like Banjo-Kazooie, specifically Banjo-Tooie, the sequel, Donkey Kong 64, Ukulele even was just, the game was kind of empty, but it was just fun to go back there. These games are starting to have the revival's already here. I think you could argue. There's a huge revival of these games, and I love to see it. And I think, honestly, Nintendo had a lot to do with that, because they're really the only ones that have been consistent with their platformers through every generation with their Mario franchises. So other than Nintendo, though, you didn't really see it on PlayStation consoles. I am so over the moon about games like this.
I couldn't agree more, man, and you totally stole my point. I was going to bring that up when I was kind of watching this video, how I was literally I was in the process of thinking to myself, like, I'm so happy that games like these are back. It almost puts a smile. It almost brings me back to my childhood. And to your point, I think a lot of those 3D platformers and why we kind of stopped seeing those, a lot of them weren't very well received. You would have like these movie franchises. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but basically releasing copy and paste of the same 3D platforming that we've seen. But there were ones that were really good, like SpongeBob, like, Ukulele, I guess, like you said, brought this kind of back. It kind of ignited that, resurgence of the mascot platformer. But I'm so happy that these are back, man. It really does bring a smile to my face, particularly those of us that played games in the early 2000s, when we saw just so many of these, and it brings you back to your childhood. And a lot of them are really good. Like, this SpongeBob game looks awesome. It does. And these sort of collectathons are, I don't want to call them collectathons, but, the 3D collectathon kind of, model. They're fun to play. They're relaxing. They're not super intense. I love being able to just lay back and play a game and not be stressed the fuck out all the time. Right. I talked about why I love Death Stranding so much. It's because I can just chill and play a video game and not feel overly stressed about anything, and just kind of, let it kind of, and before you know it, you've played hours upon hours. It's easy to kind of get lost in those games because they're so much fun to play, and they're not stressful. So I'm happy that these are back. I'm so happy that you brought up that point, though, because I completely agree. It's here. This resurgence is here. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, God willing. I hope they stay.
Yeah, they will.
I don't want to go. And so I'm very happy. I couldn't agree with you more, though.
I mean, I remember when the PS3 era we were in the middle of that era, and all you could really play was, because I looked high and low for for a mascot platformer. I really did. And there were some indie ones and some, kind of ones here and there, but they were not AAA. They were not taken seriously. These are the games that you were playing in that era. Resistance, Killzone, Uncharted. And Uncharted is probably the the lightest of those three. You know what I mean? And then you did have Sackboy.
Yes.
I mean, Little Big Planet, but that wasn't a Little Big Planet wasn't a platformer. It was a platformer second and a like creative sort of playground first. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is I think we can look at Naughty Dog's trajectory as a very good indicator of because I've thought about this a lot, as a very good indicator of sort of the rise and fall of the mascot platformer. Because we start off with Crash Bandicoot, right? Then they do Jak and Daxter. Then they do Jak 2 and Jak 3, and those are kind of more gritty, Grand Theft Auto-y type games, but they're still platformers, and they still have that to them. But then we move on to Uncharted and Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3, and all of a sudden games are trying to be movies. And don't get me wrong, these are some of my favorite games ever. The Last of Us, Uncharted 2 specifically, these games are awesome. But, in my opinion, we were still in the early stages of finding our footing as far as gaming as a medium, because we were seeing action movies do this, and we're copying it, almost frame for frame, shot for shot, because we'd never been able to do that before, and now we can. So we entered an era of realism, and look at how realistic we can make things look. Look at how lifelike and movie-like we can make things look. But then beyond that, when we get to the PS4 and early PS5 era, like I said, I'm not saying Yooka-Laylee was the game that did this. I'm just saying I remember that specific time in my head where, okay, these consoles are super powerful, but we can use that to create something that isn't realistic, but something that is beyond realism, something that is fantastical. You know what I mean? And then we started to see just like this huge uptick of games like that, and I think that video games have finally found their footing. They're not trying to be movies anymore. We talked about, things specific to games earlier in this podcast, first person versus third person. That's not something that's not a debate you make in a movie. You have POV shots in movies and things of that nature, but it's not the same. Gaming is its own storytelling medium now. It's its own thing. And I think that it's finally gotten there, in my opinion. I know this is a bit of a rant, but I just think it's super important to sort of address this, because I really have thought a lot on this.
Totally good points. I couldn't agree more. I think now we're seeing more than ever developers kind of take risks that weren't taken, in that PS3 era. That sort of, like you said, the only games that you could really play were what? Killzone, Uncharted clones, things like that. There wasn't a lot of, I don't want to say there wasn't a lot of variety, but not to this extent. Not to this extent, and developers are starting to have a good hold of just being creative and, following a vision and not having any sort of restraints or anything like that, because the technology, like you said, it's there. I mean, you can make whatever the hell you want now, and it really is awesome, because we're getting so many different games, so many different types of games that are really fleshed out, and like you said, man, they look stunning, like like genuine, and to piggyback off of what you said earlier, that yeah, we're not movies, we're video games, and understanding that and not trying to be a movie, that to me is such a good, valid point that isn't said all too often, because it makes total sense. It makes total sense. We're and all of this coming from SpongeBob Cosmic Shake. I can't. I'm sorry. Thank you, Cosmic Shake. I'm crying now. Thank you so much, SpongeBob Cosmic Shake, for bringing this up.
my god, that's
man.
really
Well,
funny.
I guess
I'll
we'll
try.
end it there.
I'll try and steer us back to land here. Okay, so this is why I glow about Psychonauts 2, because you can't have Psychonauts 2 the movie. You're just not gonna have it. The whole point of the game is to dive into these people's literal psyches and see what's going on in their heads. And it's a story delivered in a specific way that can only be done in a video game. I like when video games do things that only video games can do. Again, we'll talk about Psychonauts 2 next week, but it was relevant. I had to bring it up. Let me go back to SpongeBob really fast. I don't think you can undersell how valuable the circle underneath the character is. And it's the same color as the one in Crash 4. They were playing Crash 4. They saw it. Because if you watch the SpongeBob Cosmic Shake trailer, Vinny's giving me a look like he didn't see it. You'll see it. Watch it and you'll see it. There's a circle under SpongeBob.
I see it.
Yeah, right? Like, that's huge. How was that not a thing? Like, we had these platformers, these 3D platformers, for 10 plus years without that. And it's not like it would be very difficult as far as technology and, rendering is concerned. It wouldn't really add much in the way of performance. It's a little tiny circle that you put under the character. Why did they not think of that 10 years ago?
I want to say that typically with the games back in the day, we would see a shadow. And the problem with the shadow was it could be difficult at times to see where that shadow was. I know I played a lot of Mario. I know that's what Mario did, was it would be kind of like a dark shadow underneath him.
Yeah, but the shadow wasn't always where you landed, Sometimes the shadow was just like part of the lighting effect in the game. I know what you're saying, that little circle shadow, but I don't know. This is so much better.
I know, yeah.
This is so much better.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely better. I completely agree. And it's funny that you say that because I didn't even notice that until now. And you're absolutely right, because Crash Bandicoot, that was so nice to have. It adds that level of precision that we never really had with those. And it does, you still kind of, I brought it up in my Crash 4 review when I was kind of talking about the game, that it at times, just by nature of a 3D platformer, it just feels off sometimes. But once you get used to kind of the movements of the characters and how far they're going to jump, it just takes time and you realize it. And that circle is, oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely right. That circle is so valuable.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see it here.
Write in if you can, because I want to know what game did it first. I am almost certain it was Crash 4, but I don't want to give Toys for Bob credit if another game did that circle, specifically the circle. I think Psychonauts does it too, but I believe that came out after. Does Psychonauts do it, Vinny? You're playing it right now. Is there a circle? I'm pretty sure there is under your character.
Yeah, there's a circle. From what I'm remembering, there is a circle, so you know exactly where you're winning.
Write in and let us know, because I'm genuinely curious who did that first, because that's just such a good idea. Such an underrated feature. So, wrapping it all up, we have one more topic to talk about. And I titled it in our write-up, The Gaming Slump. We're in a slow era right now. This last couple of weeks has been pretty, unimportant, not exciting, however you want to say it. There's not much to play right now in the way of new games. I've been going through my backlog. I was going through my backlog until Yakuza Like a Dragon kicked my butt and just opened up my whole world into this awesome series and franchise. But I don't know why I said kicked my butt, because that's not what I meant. But the game did kick my butt. The game's hard. It gets pretty hard. We're almost grindy at points. But anyway, going through my backlog. What are you doing, Vinny? Because there's not much out right now. How has your gaming journey been the last few weeks?
It's a great point, because you're right. We're kind of in this drought of not really anything coming out. And I don't know if I could speak for you. I personally am finding it refreshing, because I'm so used to kind of falling behind on new releases and never getting to them and things like that. I love what we're going through right now. I love this drought. I'll be honest with you. I might be a little bit different than other gamers, but it's allowing me to kind of go through my back catalog. Man, I'm finishing up Doom Eternal, a game that I never got to beat. I'm planning on starting up Yakuza Like a Dragon, which came out a year ago, and playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, even being able to play that. I wouldn't, it's nice to have this time, and I encourage everybody to take advantage of it right now, because let me tell you something, man. Next year is going to be insane. I literally just pulled up next year's games. Like, I kind of just did a quick Google search. January, Anthony. This is what we have in January of next year. Just this month. The Dead Space remake comes out in January. Forspoken comes out in January. Then in February, we have Hogwarts Legacy. Then in March, we have the Resident Evil 4 remake. I mean, it's going to be insane. All of these games are getting delayed, and they're going to come out next year, man. 2023 is about to be a really special year. I don't have all the games, and maybe we'll have to make a video or make a topic about 2023 and what's coming out. But, dude, there is so much. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out next year. Dude, there's so much.
Oh, my God, that's right.
There's so much. We're going to start seeing probably these games that we talk about. Maybe we'll see Wolverine coming out next year. We don't know. It's very possible. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Right.
This is gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up next year, and it starts in January. Like, we have two huge games coming out in January now. So I'm thankful for this time. I'm gonna try as hard as I can to enjoy it and prepare myself for next year, because next year is gonna be insane.
You know what's kind of annoying to me about this year and video games?
What's that?
It's really hard to, and I didn't realize that this would have such an impact on the way I played games, but it's hard to go throughout the entire year already knowing what your game of the year is. And the game of the year comes out in February in Elden Ring. Nobody's touching Elden Ring. I don't care. Horizon Forbidden West, I was like playing it and I was like, wow, this might be my game of the year. And then I forgot Elden Ring came out this year. Nobody can touch Elden Ring. It's impossible. Unless Elden Ring 2 comes out on December 30th, there's no way you're beating out Elden Ring for Game of the Year. I was already thinking about into the future about our Game of the Year podcast, and I want to build a category around Game of the Year that isn't Elden Ring, because
that's a good one.
I mean,
that's a good point.
Do you disagree?
No, I mean, I haven't even beaten Elden Ring yet. Sad enough. And funny enough, I'm hoping to play it during this kind of dull moment that we're having here in video games. Now I get the opportunity to go back, beat Elden Ring. I know I was really far. I had to have been right close to the end. That game's a little daunting to go back to, because obviously there's so much to it. There's so many layers to the game and the gameplay itself. And it'd be a lot of relearning for me. But dude, I agree. I actually really agree, because it's not really fun to... You got to almost forget about Elden Ring.
Right.
If you're going to consider what is going to be the game of the year. Because God of War might have a chance.
No shot. No, God of War, we already had...
I'm going to give it a chance.
God of War it's just God of War 2018, but better. At least from what I've seen. It's not literally the next evolution of an entire genre of video games. You know what I mean? Like, you can't touch that. Point. So it's just...
Very good point.
Yeah, it's just, there's no way you're beating Elden Ring for Game of the Year, and it's 2023 will be nice. It will be nice to finally have, because I have that conversation in my head. Maybe I'm crazy, but I just do this thing where I'm like, okay, this is starting to, like, I'll do like the stock market in my head. This is gaining stock for Game of the Year for me after this level, and stuff like it's fun. And then I feel like that was taken away from me. Damn you, FromSoft, for making such an excellent game that I can't have Game of the Year in my head.
Yeah, you bastards. Sons of bitches over there.
But
it's a good point, though.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's all worthless.
Yeah,
it's all pointless.
To answer sort of your statement / question that you made, I like it too. I like that I don't have anything new to overwhelm me, because and I've been, like we discussed already, going through the backlog. But what's really nice is the timing and Sony had to have known this, but the timing of PlayStation Extra and Premium tier coming out in this little dry spell that we have. That is such excellent timing, because if there were big games like God of War, even Horizon, The Last of Us Part 1 to a lesser extent, if those games all came out in August, I never, ever would have played Avengers. You know what I mean? And that's the game, that's like my biggest surprise of the year right now is Avengers. I never would have played it. Never. No shot. So, you know, it's very interesting how that works out. And you know, for those of you that are a little bit on the younger side, just be grateful of all the choices that you have. All of the video, like these are good problems to have right now. When Vinny and I were 12, 13 years old, maybe even 14, 15, we had to really, I remember doing research to find a game to play because there just weren't enough games for me to want to play. On Google, that I would Google best games on the PS2, you know, and I really had to go digging. There weren't this many quality games.
Yeah, no, I agree. And multiplayer is so much more prevalent now. You know, particularly when we were trying to find games to play together, you would have to find a game that had online co-op, which wasn't even a thing in 95% of games coming out back then. Whereas now, I mean, we would have, could you imagine, you know, I love to have this conversation. I know this is probably off topic, but something like Game Pass or even the tier service. Could you imagine if we had these services when we were kids?
No.
How nice that would have been not to have to have had, you know, to have the Avengers and all these amazing games when we didn't have any money. You know, just buying the year's subscription service, and you get Death Stranding, you get Returnal. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a nice offering. It's just insane to see how far we've come from just the subscription services. And I remember us freaking out over the free games of the month. Remember that when that started becoming a thing for Sony? That was in the PS3 era, I want to say. They started actually doing it, and we were like, whoa, like a free game? Whoa, like that's so weird. You know, and they were good games, I remember.
They were.
It's just so funny to see how far we've come with that.
It's the last thing I'll say about this little gaming drought is a blessing in disguise, as we've already mentioned. You got to pick up Yakuza Like a Dragon. And also, it's interesting that you're playing Doom Eternal. Stick with that first. Beat that, and then play Yakuza Like a Dragon. Doom Eternal, I've said it on the podcast already, it's my favorite shooter of all time. It is, that game...
So good.
It's on another level. It's like Doom Eternal, and then everything else is a full tier below it, in my opinion. That game is so good. It is so good. Wow. I'm just gonna keep
crazy, man, because
myself.
No, you're fine. I'm thinking to myself, because, and not to go too long on this topic, I know we're gonna wrap this one up, but down the line, I think that PlayStation gamers are probably going to have to do. They're gonna have to buy a gaming PC, like they have to, because of these acquisitions that Microsoft did. So I'm thinking long term, like I know this is totally off topic. I'll have to have a gaming PC to have access to those games, especially if, God forbid, like Call of Duty. Here's me, my Call of Duty guy. If Call of Duty's not on PlayStation, what the hell am I going to do? Yeah. Like, it's just insane to think about, because I have to play the next
I don't know,
Doom.
play an actual game that's good.
I have to. You know what I mean? But what are you going to do when Doom 3 comes out and it's not on PlayStation? You're going to have to...
I mean, I have a gaming computer, so that's, you know...
Okay.
It's not an issue for me.
It's just something to think about.
I might have to upgrade my graphics card or something, but it's... Yeah, for me, I like gaming on a couch, on a big screen. You know, we've had this conversation, too. I know you're more of, like, the desk and a monitor sort of gamer. Maybe you put your feet up and, you know, relax if you're playing that certain type of game. But I like the big TV with a sound bar and a controller. And I'm not going to do that with Doom 3 or whatever they're going to call it, if it's on PlayStation. I might have to get an Xbox. Dude, that Series S is so cheap. That Series S is so cheap. It's like $300, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people are doing that just to have access to the Game Pass games, which is PS5, Series S.
Right.
Which is cool that Microsoft's offering that, but for me, something like a Doom, I don't know, Doom 3, I'm not going to want to play that on some low-tier system. Like, I'm sorry, Doom Eternal is stunning. It is so beautiful.
Right.
And it runs so well. It's just something to think about, man. Like, long-term, like, shit, I'm going to have to get a gaming PC now. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
It's just crazy, you know? Because there's too many games that Microsoft has the potential of making exclusive that I can't live without. You know, there's just too many.
Sure. Yeah, I like I said, we're kind of going in circles here, but there's so many things that are both good and bad that have come from this quote unquote revitalized console war. So it's you know, it's something to keep an eye on when we're in this gaming dry spell. We can definitely, we have the free time to do some digging here. The Xbox Series S is $286 on Amazon. That extra $14 off, just like
wow.
Like seeing the 2.8
helps.
I don't know.
Marketing 101 over here.
Yeah,
this is it definitely does. It makes it better.
Okay, let's reel this in because we've gone off the rails, and I do apologize. But like I said, I told Vinny before we started recording, we're going to kind of be more freeform this episode. We don't have a lot of big blockbuster topics, so I kind of let us, you know, be a little bit more free, so to speak, in this particular episode. But that's it. That is it. We have for your consideration now, and before I review Puyo Puyo Tetris, which was my game the last couple of weeks, Vinny is going to give me a new game in the category Wild Card. So, Vinny, any game that ever existed, you could have given me, and you decided to go with...
All right, Anthony, big reveal.
Okay.
Anthony's game is Trover Saves the Universe. I don't know if you've ever heard of this game. Have you ever heard of this game, Anthony? Trover Saves the Universe.
No.
It's from the creators of Rick and Morty. It's the video game that they made, which is out on PlayStation.
Yes.
I cannot wait for you to play this game.
I did see this game. It's a VR game, right? But it's also...
It is, but you can play it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can play it with the controller. And I don't watch any videos on it. Don't spoil any of the jokes. It's a comedy sort of game. It is probably the funniest game that I've ever played personally. It's right up there. Like, I think Portal 2 is hilarious. Like, it's top. It is so funny.
Wow.
And it's fun to play. It is. And I thought wild card, this to me is a pretty big wild card. I can't wait for you to play this game. I'm sure you can get the physical copy for like $10 or something, but I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this one. It is so good.
Yeah, I remember there was like no marketing for this game. Because I remember I saw it like, I want to say maybe like a few weeks ago, and I was like, is this a VR game? What is this? And I remember thinking like I should buy this, and then I forgot about it again. See, that shows you how, God, we're getting into such deep philosophical conversations on this episode, but that shows you how powerful marketing is, because it's true. They didn't really market the game. I didn't really see it. And even when I had exposure to the game, I forgot about it. And that's funny. I was watching Rick and Morty last night, actually, for the first time in a while.
If you like Rick and Morty at all, I mean, it is so good.
Okay, great.
I can't wait.
I'm really excited for this one, actually, because it was something I was actually interested in that I totally forgot about. So great timing on that, Vinny, to be honest with you.
There you go.
Okay, so with all of this out of the way, it is now time for my Puyo Puyo Tetris review.
Can't wait.
Okay, so Vinny's first caveat when he gave me this game was I have to play the story mode, and I have to watch all of the cutscenes no matter what, and try and make sense of this story, because what in the... Okay, so this is pretty much going to be like Vinny's Shenmue review, which I just edited that podcast, so it's pretty fresh in my mind, but I'm pretty sure Vinny said something along the lines of, what the hell am I playing here? And it's a little bit more cohesive or coherent than that, but okay, let me just explain the story, or try to explain the story. So, oh god, you're a you're a Puyo Puyo like person, I guess, and you start off playing as this girl, and she is a Puyo Puyo and she gets abducted into a spaceship and meets this guy T, who is a Tetris player, and they go to fight each other, and one of them says, oh my god, like they have their battle, they're like, all right, we'll battle, and one of them says, wait, you don't play Puyo Puyo? And the other one says, wait, you don't play Tetris? And then all of a sudden, Tetraminos, which is the blocks in Tetris, fall from the sky and just start, I guess, inhabiting the earth or something. And then you also switch off between one character to the next, and there's no main character, and then there's like a sheep that is like called AI, and I don't understand what's going on with the story. It's like a bad anime is pretty much what the story is. Vinny, for God's sake, save me here. What explain the story to me.
Anthony, what you just explained to me is more than I know about the campaign whatsoever. I talked about this last week that I had, or 2 weeks ago, that I have like over 100 hours in Puyo Puyo Tetris. Between the first one and the second one, hundreds, because it's so good. You know more about the campaign just with that 5-minute, high-level review. That's more than I could know about the campaign. It is one of the worst told. It's obnoxious. The characters are always yelling in your ear. It's so over the top. And I did this as a joke. I was actually shocked that you actually went into that much detail, to be honest with you, about this campaign, because it is so bad. And I don't know anything about it, man. I love this game. Tell me about the gameplay.
Okay, so we're done.
I know you didn't like the story.
We're done talking about the story, right?
We're done with you trashing on the story. We don't have to talk about the Tetris taking over the world. No. Tell me why this game is great, or at least if you think it was great. Talk to me about the gameplay a little bit, because this game just still, to this day, has its hooks in me. It's so much fun.
Let me reiterate, because I want to go back to the story, because it's really written just so beautifully. The Puyo Puyo players learn how to play Tetris, and the Tetris players learn how to play Puyo Puyo, and it's all about togetherness and coming together as one.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's actually a beautiful story.
Oh my god. So so Tetris gameplay. All right, we're done. We don't have anybody.
Yes.
Nobody's listening anymore, so it's just the two of us. But anyway, this game's awesome. It's so good. It's like good comfort food puzzle game. You know what I mean? It's like a good hearty meal of a puzzle game. And that goes for the story mode too. You delete the cutscenes, you just go into the source code of the game and delete all the cutscenes out of the game and then reboot it back up. And you have a great story mode. You really do. It has variety. Sometimes you're just playing Tetris. Sometimes you're just playing Puyo Puyo. Sometimes you have like a Puyo Puyo combo challenge, which I suck at. That's by far the hardest part for me. I am so bad at the Puyo Puyo part and so good at the Tetris part that it's like a little bit so sometimes they'll switch and you'll have to switch from one to the other, and the blocks actually just turn into whichever one they weren't. You know what I mean? So if you have Tetris blocks, they turn into Puyo Puyo blocks. If you have Puyo Puyo blocks, they turn into Tetris blocks. And you have to adapt. And every time it switched to Puyo Puyo, I was like, oh God, here we go. But it was fun. It was fun because it really made me flex my brain. But I would save all of my power-ups and just I would make all of my moves and all my combos during the Tetris portion because I'm so good at creating a well and making a line in Tetris and then just going boom, boom, Tetris line. And it's just like, I love Tetris. And I didn't really become a fan of Tetris until a couple years ago, but once I got Tetris in my brain, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like I would see the blocks in my sleep for Tetris, and then I just became like an addict, like obsessed with it. So Tetris, I know like the back of my hand. Puyo Puyo, I remember Kirby's Avalanche. I remember playing that game on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, and it's the same game. It's, Kirby's Avalanche is just a reskin of Puyo Puyo. And it's more about getting combos and chains. And when you get a nice chain together of 8, 9, 10, 11, it's so satisfying. But it's just a different way of thinking. You have to... So the easiest strategy for me was to... There's like an S strategy where you sort of just make like an S with the Puyos, and then there's another strategy where you surround the whole like playing field with a certain block, but you leave one block in the middle empty, and then you do like if it's all red, you do one green in the middle, and then you do all the greens, and you leave one, and then you have to make a combo. That's like the biggest thing about that is you pop one line and it turns into like a triple, quadruple combo, right? So it's hard because it's more about... Tetris is more about instant gratification of you have to put this block right here and make a line, and you're setting things up for the future, but you're doing the same thing every time in Tetris. You're just trying to fill up the entire screen except for one line, and then you wait for the straight piece and then drop the straight piece in the well, they call it, that you created. But Puyo Puyo is, I think it's more involved. I don't know if it's easier or harder. I don't know the exact phrasing I would use. It's just different, and I just like Tetris better. It just with my brain it just clicks more. So I get a little anxiety attack whenever they switch to Puyo Puyo. But it's, like I said, it's good gaming comfort food. I am gonna get the second one after playing this. I really loved it. I really did. And it's nice to have the backdrop of the story mode, not in the execution of the dialogue or characters or anything like that, because it's all over the place. It's ridiculous. But as far as like, okay, I'm fighting this thing now I'm fighting this character, and it's paced very well from the levels, the way the levels sort of unfold. You're going to do a Puyo here, then you're going to do a Tetris, then you're going to do a combo, and you have to adapt. And my obsession was getting 3 stars on every level. Like I wouldn't move on to the next one until I got 3 stars.
Yeah.
And then I hit a brick wall with one of the Puyo Puyo combos where you had to get like a 6 combo or something like that to get 3 stars, and I couldn't do it. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. That's enough for me. But I got very far. Is that a good review? There's not much more to say about it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's kind of one of those where you just have to play it,
Yeah. I would just, the only thing that I would add, and I know you probably didn't play this locally multiplayer, I think this is probably one of the best couch multiplayer games that's out there. It is so much fun to play someone in Tetris. Tetris in particular, I'm just like you. I enjoy the Tetris aspect way more than I like the Puyo Puyo. Puyo Puyo is very difficult because, like you said, you have to think almost 10 steps ahead with every play that you do, which it can be really easy to kind of be a little bit overwhelmed. And I feel the same way about Puyo Puyo, though I do like it a lot. It can be difficult in that respect, but Tetris is just so much fun to play. But the multiplayer, man, local multiplayer, Tetris is so much fun, and this is probably the best way to play it out of any Tetris game that's out there. If you're going to play with friends, I played with my roommates in college. I mean, we're talking a 3-minute, like a couple game session turned into 5-6 hours straight of just Tetris, of just constantly hearing the Tetris noises. And we would have a group of 4 people playing Tetris against each other. That's when it gets really fun, and the game has a lot of customization to the multiplayer components to it. You can say, hey, first character to win 3 games, best 2 out of 3. There's so many different ways to customize the experience, customize the maps, and it's so great to play with friends locally. But at the same time, the way that you played it is mainly the way that I played it as well, which is locally and just play it by myself, playing through the campaign. Very comfort food-esque. That's a perfect way to describe this game. I encourage everybody to go out and play this game. If you like puzzle games, especially if you like Tetris. Now, I will say this, I don't think this is the best Tetris game to come out. I think that goes straight to Tetris Effect, which is probably the best single player. Have you ever played Tetris Effect?
Yeah, I've beaten it. I've played the whole thing all the way through. Yeah.
Amazing. I've played through Tetris Effect like 3 or 4 times now, and it is so good, especially on a big TV with, surround sound and things like that. It's such a special game. But go play Puyo Puyo Tetris. This game's like $5. Everybody needs to go out and play this game.
Talk to me about the sequel. What do they do differently? What is
the sequel? I'll cut you off right there. The sequel is more of the same. There's maybe a few extra game modes that I've never personally touched because I'm like you. I'm more into the just give me Tetris. Just let me play Tetris, locally and play the multiplayer that way. It's the exact same thing. I think it's more so just another campaign for those that love the story of the first Puyo Puyo.
right.
For those like you that loved the lore of the first Puyo Puyo Tetris, you get a whole new experience here. So that's what it more so was. I think there were probably added game modes that I'm not going to discuss because I never played them. I will say this. I do like the swap game mode. I actually do like it. I think it's a fun twist.
It's very frantic.
I don't think I would want to play it. Yeah, it's actually fun to play because one board is sweating, the other board you're perfect on. It actually can be a lot of fun.
They're different boards. Right. I said while I was reviewing it that it was the same. Is that a mode too? Because I feel like I played that too, where the Puyo's turned into the Tetris. No, they're different boards. Why did I say that?
Yeah, they're different boards.
Yeah,
they're different.
I don't know why
boards,
I said that.
Which is fine.
Yeah,
they're different boards, and it swaps between the different types of gameplay. It really makes your mind, especially if you think that Puyo Puyo is complicated. When you're flipping between the two, it just becomes, you got to remember where you're at on your Puyo Puyo board when it switches to it. It's very chaotic, and it can be a lot of fun, especially if you're playing with multiple people. It just the second one's a lot of fun too. Obviously, I'd tell people to get that one. There's probably a bunch of added features to it that I'm not going to speak to. But it's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
I love Tetris. I'm glad you're with me on Tetris.
I'm curious. We're gonna have to put our Tetris chops to the test. I don't know which one of us is better at Tetris. I've put a lot over the last 2 years.
You won't beat me. Nah, you won't.
Really?
We'll have to maybe play one game and then discuss it on the podcast. Play like a best 3, maybe like a World Series, so to speak, best 4 out of 7. And I would be stunned if you beat me. I'm really good at Tetris. I'm hundreds of hours of Tetris I've played. I'm telling you. And, I love Tetris.
Tetris Effect is multiplayer now, so we could do it on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The multiplayer component came out. Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll just have to play that.
Yeah, we sure will. Well, if you're still listening after this rant of an episode, you know what? I kind of liked it. I'll be honest with you. I kind of liked having that free form. Because a lot of the times if we go off topic, I'll sort of reel us in. But I kind of didn't do that this time because I wanted to see what would happen. Because, again, we didn't have very many topics to discuss. And we ended up talking about a lot of really awesome things. Like the resurgence of the mascot platformer. It's cool. That's a cool... You know what, Vinny? I might even clip that one off. That might even get a clip for our YouTube channel. I think it could. I think it deserves it. But anyway, thank you again, as always, for listening. And we will see you back for episode 14 of the PS Blue Podcast. Have a great rest of your day.